I built wealth without reading a book a week, without making my bed, without journaling, without a 2-hour morning routine, without giving up alcohol, without giving up Netflix, without waiting to marry, and without leverage. Because the only thing you actually have to do is find shit people want, sell it to them for more than it cost you many times. If I told you to build the tallest tower you possibly could in 10 seconds, here's how you might do. Time. Imagine I told you to build the tallest building you possibly could in 10 days. You would probably say, you know what? I can probably get some more boxes, and I probably wouldn't build it because how flimsy is this? So I might build it piece by piece from the ground up with more stable bricks from day one. And I'd keep adding and keep adding and keep adding. And then when 10 days came, I might be 5 stories high. The fastest way to get to this tall is to build it the exact way I did earlier. But if I then said, I need you to build something that's 10 stories tall, you would never get there. And what happens is people get stuck and they can't add another one on top. And it's because you built it wrong to begin with. Sometimes the fastest way to get to 10 million is to start back at 0 and build it right to begin with. Because this thing is never gonna last. I learned this tactic from Eminem that he used in rap, but actually makes sales way more effective. He always used to talk about owning all the negatives. You wanna say every negative thing you possibly can about yourself so no one else can. But as salesmen, you can actually stack the deck in your favor using all the negative and then reversing it into positive. Here's how it works. It's all around the word but. Normally, if you've ever heard people who are like, oh, he's saying something good, where's the but? Because everyone is trained to emphasize what happens after the word but. But when you're persuading, what you can do is rather than say good thing but bad thing, you flip it. So you say all the bad stuff. Our program's really long, it's very difficult, it's complex, but it works better than anything else you've ever tried. The second half of the sentence becomes magnified because of the damaging admissions that but amplified. A while back, I rolled up to a gas station in a supercar and started pumping gas. And a kid comes up to me and he's like, hey, do you want a free sample of perfume? I was like, yeah, sure. He squirts my wrist. He asked me if I want to buy the bottle. I said no. But you know what? I'll give you 20 bucks just for trying. I encourage entrepreneurship. And he says, cool, do you have 20 bucks in cash? And I said, no. I have a card though. And he was like, okay, well, let me go get the card processor. So I'm standing there, my gas is pumping, and I see him just stand there as another guy is pitching some group. Doesn't say anything for minutes. My thing clicks. And I was like, all right, take it, put it back, step in the car. He sees me and is like, whoa, 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 bro. I start driving away. He's like, hey man, I'm about to get the thing. And so I said, listen, man, I'm driving this car because I sold the way you're selling. I get it. So let me give you a couple pieces of advice if you want to take them. One, as soon as the customer says they'll give you money, shut up. The second thing, as soon as someone offers you money, always have a way to process the money. Third, if you have a closed deal and someone else walks in, you tell the person who is about to walk in to wait, you have the deal on the table. You made all 3 mistakes. This will teach you far more than my 20 bucks would have ever given you. If I open a sandwich shop, how can I make the sandwiches too good? Like if someone takes a bite, they're like, this is the best sandwich I've ever had. If you just get that, then the rest of it doesn't matter. It's like, what is the one thing that if I just get this one thing right, everything else shrinks into irrelevance? So I'm at this dinner with a bunch of college seniors and they're all talking about how they want to get into entrepreneurship, that they're entrepreneurs, they're starting their business. And I was like, hey man, I talked to you 6 months ago. So where are you at with that business? He's like, I'm still getting my LLC set up. What? Dude, that's not starting a business. That's like being able to have a business. There are 4 steps to start a business that anyone can do. Step 1, get an articles of incorporation that you can get online. Step 2, take those articles of incorporation to go to a bank and open a bank account. Step 3, connect payment processor to said bank account to collect money. Step 4, provide value to a stranger in exchange for money. That's it. And they could have done all of those things in the time that they were talking about the business that they wanted to start. There was a guy on my team. We were getting complaints that he was acting like a dick. He had talked to 3 of the leaders in my company who had had one-on-ones with him and said, hey man, stop being a dick. He continued to be a dick. They said, Alex, can you talk to him? And I said, sure. And so when I sat down with him, I said, hey, I don't really care what you do. My goal here is to decrease the likelihood that people complain about you. They keep saying that you're acting like a dick. He's like, yeah, I know, I'm working on it. I was like, no, it's fine. I don't care. What are the actions that you take that increase the likelihood they call you a dick? Number 1 is that you interrupt them on meetings. Number 2 is that you say that you know their department better than them. I have my list of things. I was like, so don't do those 4 things and do this instead. So when this circumstance occurs, do this action instead of this action. And in the next week, everyone's like, oh my God, it was like night and day. And the thing is that you can't look at someone and say, don't be a dick, be charismatic. No, how do I do that? You have to tell them granularly what to do instead. Kylie Jenner changed my life. I saw her on the cover of Forbes and I was like, she's younger than I am and she's a billionaire and I feel like I know more about business. I have a fundamental belief that if someone makes more money than me, they're better at business than me in some way and I need to learn from that. I will study everyone. Anyone who's making more money than me, I'll study. When I saw that, it was such a paradigm shift for me. I was like, how is this possible? I was taking between 13 and 17 million a year personally. I thought I was doing pretty well. Then I saw that and I just felt horrible about myself. It like ruined like a week of my life. And then after that, Conor McGregor, boom, he was at 600 with proper 12. And then The Rock came out with Termana, he's at 2 to 4 billion, depending on who you're looking at. And it just happened again and again and again. And I was like, I'm missing something here. I believe that the only thing that you would need to grow a business was paid ads and outbound. For me to be a billionaire, I didn't understand brand. And it was my big deficiency. And when I saw each of those, I was like, oh, I have to get into this. And I started making YouTube videos shortly thereafter. That was kind of the beginning of me starting to post stuff. Here's how a restaurant uses mints to make more money and how you can use the same psychology in your business to make more. So what they did is they took the bowl of mints, instead of leaving it by the door, they gave it to the waitresses to hand out. The first thing they did was just give people 1 mint. And when they gave people 1 mint, they got an average of 3% increase in tips. When they gave people 2 mints, they got a 14% increase in tips. But in the third style, where they gave a mint to one person, then walked away and then came back and then gave them a second, they got a 23% increase in tips. And so there's 3 things that make this so powerful. Number 1, when you give a gift to somebody, people want to give you something back. Second is that it was most powerful in the third scenario because it was personalized. They're like, wait a second, I'm actually going to give you a second one. And the third, it was unexpected. And if you can weave those 3 things into the gifts that you give, you'll get far more compliance from the requests that you make afterwards. The Queen of England died 30 months ago. She ruled an entire nation and accumulated more wealth than 99.9% of humans. And yet, you probably haven't thought of her except for this video right now. And so no matter how big your dreams are, you're gonna die, everyone will move on. Do what you want.